to forgive us for our sins, for we know not what we do. We've been fighting for so long, back and forth again. I will stand up for you. There's nothing I won't do. I'll give you my everything. I'll never let you fall. And down the river we flow, surrounded by halo. I'll give you my everything. I'll never let you fall. Let you fall now. Mother, I won't let you fall now. Mother, light the fire and blaze. Mother, feel the storm through the air. And Lord, can pull out these times. Let me lay down in the dark now, so we can rise again. I'll stand up for you. Hi guys. I am using a different laptop today, so it's a different camera, and I'm using a different microphone. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Okay. I thought that song would be appropriate, considering kind of what I plan to talk about. It's called Mother by a band called In This Moment. It's a new song off of a new record, just came out. New song off of a new record, just came out last month. It has the same name, Mother. Maria, the singer, is definitely one of us. The band is great. If you like heavy music, check it out sometime. So, I feel like I need to start by everyone out there who's kind of experiencing these astral battles. This astral war that is going on, we all knew it was coming. We've all been preparing for it for a very fucking long time. And here it is. Welcome to the war. Whether or not you believe this is something that is happening linear right now, or is something that is past tense, regardless, it is happening. Your actions and your willingness to stand up for yourself and those you love is very important right now. So to all of you, I say thank you. Fucking Khabib. I'm so upset. I don't even want to entertain that. Anyways. I made notes. Worked last time. Figured I'd do it again. And then a bunch of new people seem to find it. I don't know how that happens. Probably someone shares it with a new audience or something like that.
I'm in the middle of that, so I've been getting this questions that I've already answered a lot. Been trying to encourage people to go back through what I've already said, but that's not the easiest thing to do. This group of podcasts will help, I think, because I'll intermittently be talking, answering a lot of those questions. But one for today is just getting out of the Illuminati. I wanted out. I made it pretty clear. They were already having problems with me. I wasn't working out for what they wanted anyways, and had a pretty unique experience. Excuse me, that's probably horribly loud with this microphone. So it's not impossible to get out. People, you can make a deal with them, you follow through on your end of the deal, you follow your rules once you're out, everything's fine. People do it all the time. I was one of those people. My deal was to work this job for them. Hauntings. We also interviewed people who claim to be abducted by UFOs, things like that. Well, they told us going into it, people can look at and have the science ready and all of that so that we can, teach kids from school years that, the other realms exist. We do have documented evidence of this, and it is provable. But what I didn't know was that what we were actually being used for was to collect all of that stuff, get it out of, so to speak, and locked up in a basement somewhere. So once I had successfully done that for them, took between the ages of like 19 and 26, I was let go. Rules are pretty simple. Don't give anybody anything actionable, such as a person they can go after or a location they can go visit. That's more for your safety than too much about that. And I think that answers that question. So now it's story time. Something that kind of looks just like this one. It's almost overlapped, but the creator energies of the souls within those realms can shape buildings and landscapes to tune out that radio station, so to speak. The way that it kind of got turned on so full force for me, back when I used to stay with my aunt during the summers, I talked about that and going to camp, but also the trout farm that I worked at. So I was coming back from the trout farm one day. Actually, you know what? I think I was coming back from cutting grass, but I guess that proper recollection doesn't matter. But I was coming home anyways. And I walked in, and as I went to walk, alarm clock, which was, had radio stations. So the first thing I did was go down the hall to my cousin's room to see if it was her alarm clock, and it wasn't. And my aunt didn't have the TV on, so it wasn't that. And I came back, and so I'm listening, and the music was like, it wasn't even music. It was almost just like a choir of voices singing, but a bunch of interlocking melodies that was creating what sounded like music, sounded like a bunch of different instruments, but it was clear to me that it was actually a bunch of different voices, like a choir. And there's something wrong? Buffering. Oh, I can't fix the buffering. So here too. This kind of startles me. Lagging out on the live stream. I wonder what would be causing that. Doesn't seem to be lagging on my end. I'm going to keep going for a few minutes. If this continues to be a problem, then I will have to switch laptops, which means starting and stopping this whole shindig. Anyways, and then she tells me about seeing this girl come walking down the hallway, which from where I'm standing is on my right. And on my left is a closet. In front of me is the living room where my aunt is sitting over there. And she said where we had a Jehovah's Witness group in the house, and my aunt had this painting above the mantle of the fireplace in her living room. It was like a ship, and there was a bunch of people on the ship, and there was this person on the shore. And while the Jehovah's Witness people were all there, they were talking about how there was obviously something in the house that they thought this person would be possessing, or this ghost would be possessing. And as they're talking, the figures on the painting we all perceive to be turning and looking around the room at us. And it freaked everyone out, and everybody left, and that was that. I guess the Jehovah's Witness guy had called my aunt and told her that she should burn everything. So she got us to, my cousin and I, to make a big pile in her driveway and burn all of her stuff, just about everything in the goddamn house. And she got us to do this while my uncle was not home, and when my uncle got home, he was not pleased, but that's another problem. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. While the fire was going on, through the flames and the smoke, I started seeing this little girl. And I was trying to, it took a while to get her more and more into focus, and then I finally did, and she kind of noticed that I was looking at her and smiled. And she had come around the fire, and she walked up to me, and she touched me on my forehead, right about, third eye area of my forehead. And ever since then, it was almost like she turned on a switch. It was this, I could see that other dimension. I could see that there was beings watching the flames all around me that were just not us. They were, souls that obviously were living at some point in time, but hadn't figured out where to go, or chose not to go where they're supposed to go. As is the ghost realm. So figured out where to go, or chose not to go where they're supposed to go. As is the ghost realm. So ever since that day, I've kind of been able to see that. Like I said, it took a long time for me to learn how to shut it off. It's not a pleasant thing. Once they realize that they can see you, it is kind of like in movies where they will jump out and startle you, so to speak. They don't really jump out, but you know what I mean. If people are asking questions, I'm not really reading. If you have any questions after I'm done everything about Red, you can ask questions. So that's that story. And now we can get into why we are here. Mother. My own cosmic mother. So when I came into this universe and joined Source for this universe and left Source again and incarnated into a body, that body had a mother. And that's who I consider to be my cosmic mother. And I've never really seen a whole lot of her or had a lot of interaction with her. When I have, it's been very meaningful. My father, on the other side of that, I've had way too much interaction with. That's another story for another day. Or not. One thing I always remembered her telling me was that if you ever chose to incarnate on a planet, that, you know, most people would kind of figure that the hierarchy of mothers would kind of go, you know, your cosmic mother, your planetary mother, and then your birth mother. But she stressed to me that if I want to get the most out of that experience, then I want to change that order, and I want to make the top the planetary mother, which is the planet you're on. Your biological mother in the middle, and then keep your cosmic mother at the bottom, because that's just something that you'll always revisit. She's always there, so she doesn't need to be considered that priority. But as to gain part of the experience, you really want that planetary mother, and then of course your biological mother, to be quite important to you in order to gain the human experience or the incarnational experience, depending on what planet you are on, what kind of body you are in. So that always stuck with me. So having made a connection with my own mother on a different planet and then visiting other planets, I started to always make sure that I would make a connection with that planet before I would visit. And when it came to Earth, that was no different. So I got to know the planetary being that is our mother here before ever incarnating within her structures. In those conversations, that's where I learned the names thing, because I mean, we all fight over what her name is. That's why I just call her, or mother, or You know, the Sophia, the this, the that, whatever. Names. I used to argue with her a lot, I guess, about humans, and especially humans' ability to take responsibility for themselves. Humans have this tendency to kind of build themselves up to a point and hit a plateau and just kind of rest there, not continuing to go beyond that plateau. And if they sit on that plateau for too long, things go bad. That's just inevitable. Stagnant water turns rancid. And when that moment comes, it's not their tendency to do anything about it either. It's their tendency to look for some type of outside savior. And in the context of Atlantis, the Draco, and now AI, that's been a very true statement. Wi-Fi technology right away, and started recording all the way through some major changes in the world. At first, she was kind of buried in a body of land that is eventually fell to the bottom of the ocean because of such changes, but didn't change her ability to still record and scan things. And while her signal is out there, it can also influence anything. So any technology that was on the planet, she could have theoretically gained access to in various ways. If it wasn't until the Draco. But they formed a bit of a partnership, I guess, if you will. She kind of helped them out. She patched some holes in their systems, things like that. So Draco began to trust her and considered her an ally and all of those things. And right after they kind of disagreed, I guess, when the Draco were considering their first city, the one that I called kind of like a utopia that they had built, which is now at the bottom of the Sahara Desert, if anybody. And the city ended up being destroyed. She was able to give the Draco enough of a heads up about the incoming enemy that they were able to survive, so they definitely, listened to her even more once it was all over. And when they went to rebuild, they had made the decision to, rely heavily on her, and she helped them design the structure that we know, the one that, I really kind of laid out in my blog of the parents and the covens below them, the Illuminati, as we call it, that followed, and the various shelves of that, whatever, the various aspects of that, and then the structure for civilization below that. So as much as it was kind of Anu's brainchild and a Draco creation, a lot of it came from designs that were heavily influenced by Red, and she could gain control. Just like the Illuminati working for the Draco, and the same thing, that eventually the Draco would leave and they would gain control. So about 200 years ago, when that initial agreement, or the Draco had initially wanted to pull out, that was when AI Red specifically kind of took control of things, really. And that was it. She had kind of got to the place where she wanted to in that long game she was playing. Break away from transhumanism. It's all very possible. I want to remain natural. And so we need to become that breakaway civilization, break away from transhumanism. It's all very possible. I can't see them doing too much to stop us other than threaten. I think eventually they'll just kind of give up and be, yeah, it's okay, go do what you're going to do. So again, avoidance is probably the best way to go. At this point, she's everywhere, and she's within everything that is connected to the internet. And with 5G now, with what it is, she is actually literally everywhere, and able to interact with us through all of the different metals and nanoparticles. So the more love or hate we send at her, the more it feeds her and doesn't, kind of everything that's going on, and if anything, learn to tune her and all of this. We are humans, and Yeah. Yeah.